let's get this thing started with the UFC RIO recap from last week.
Yeah, the first fight that we are going to go ahead and cover saw Husamir Palhares take on Dan Miller, and Palhares ended up winning by unanimous decision, not before the fight looked to be stopped via TKO, where both fighters stood up and thought it was over, whereas Herb Dean didn't actually stop the fight. So
no, the fight wasn't stopped. I don't know what happened. Husamir Palhares was like the judge there, or the ref, and stopped the fight himself after he was dominating that round.
And Miller believed it was the thing, you know. I mean, he was like,
Miller was, I guess, satisfied that he just got beat up. The crazy part too was when that fight started back up, Palhares almost got knocked out.
Yeah,
it looked like he was wobbled pretty good, but he covered. Like the slams in that fight, there was a lot of slams going on. That was a pretty good fight. Palhares really needs to fight some more top contenders. I know that Dan Henderson fight, I enjoyed that one. He took the H-bomb like a champ in that fight. All right, so the next fight after that, we had Thiago Tavares beating Spencer Fisher by TKO in round 2 at 2 minutes and 51 seconds. That fight, Tavares just looked better than Fisher. I thought Fisher would come with a little more, but that was Tavares' night.
Well, that really got the night started off. I mean, having an event in Brazil, you would expect to see more finishes by submission with all the jiu-jitsu practitioners out there, but really we saw a lot of finishes. So Tavares started off with a knockout, and that's how quite a few of these fights ended.
Spike part of the card there. Now we're going to go over the pay-per-view here and give you a real quick recap of what went on.
And speaking of knockouts, we had Stanislav Nedkov take on Luis Kane, and Nedkov actually won by knockout in round 1 at about 4 minutes and 13 seconds. So that round was almost over, but he just got a hold of him. And
yeah, I really didn't know much about Nedkov. I honestly thought Luis Kane was going to win after his performance over local guy Elliot Marshall.
Props.
Nedkov. Yeah, props to that guy. It was a good fight.
Yeah, it was.
That was a good
Welcome to the UFC, Stanislav Nedkov.
So the next one, we had Antonio Rodrigo Minotauro Nogueira defeat Brendan Schaub.
I'd just like to interrupt there a minute and say Heartbreaking Howie's training partner, Rodrigo Nogueira.
Sorry. He's your training partner. Yes, I do remember. Well, Nogueira beat Brendan Schaub in the first round via TKO at 3 minutes and 9 seconds.
It's quite shocking.
Schaub looked like he was starting to take over that fight. Nogueira hit a nice combination and pretty much flattened out Schaub.
Yeah.
Local guy here. It's a bummer to see him lose. I think when we talked about this on the last show, this was a fan fight. Everybody likes both
Everyone
guys.
wins. Yeah.
So it's sad to see the loser lose, but you're also happy to see the winner win, especially someone like Nogueira, who everybody thought if he lost, maybe it was time for him.
He might have gotten the talk from Dana White.
So that right there, had me jumping. Howard jumping.
And especially, I think they noted on the broadcast that the arena that the fight was held in was just a few minutes away from Nogueira's home. That's got to feel good too. I mean, it's in his home country, but it's literally near his home, so that had to feel really good. Yeah. So the next fight saw Edson Barboza defeat Ross Pearson via split decision, with the scores coming out to be 29-28, 28-29, and 29-28. So it was a pretty close fight down to the wire.
Yeah, it went back and forth. I thought Barboza, he'd won it a little more than the split decision. I didn't think Pearson really showed up for the fight.
Yeah.
He was there, but I thought we'd see a lot more out of him in this fight.
That's why you can't leave it to the judges,
Hey, he still almost won the fight.
He still almost won, I know, exactly.
That was a good one, but it led up to this monster doubleheader, in my opinion, to close out this card. We had Shogun Rua just blazed through Forrest Griffin.
Yeah.
I mean, this is what we expected in the first fight, and we got to see it in the second fight.
Exactly.
I don't think there could be a third fight after.
I don't think so.
It might have happened. Maybe Forrest Griffin's head wasn't in it because he had a kid.
His kid was
on the way.
Yeah.
Halfway out.
Halfway out, halfay in. Maybe doing a dark
congratulations
on
the kid. We're very happy for you. I got 3 kids myself. So, but anyways, we'll get back to this. Shogun defeated Forrest Griffin in the first round at 1 minute 53 seconds.
Yeah, it didn't last long. I'll go ahead and defer this one to you, Chris, because Chris is probably the biggest Anderson Silva fan in the world.
Yeah,
you can go ahead.
Huge fan. Thank you. Anderson Silva toyed with Yushin Okami, it seemed like, towards the end of that round. I think if there was maybe another 15 seconds at the end of the first round, the fight would have ended.
Yeah.
With that nice head kick that he landed. Came out in the second round, and he really played with Okami.
Yeah.
Looked like maybe Okami was sick. I don't know. We heard Anderson Silva's shoulder was hurt. Okami maybe was intimidated by the crowd, intimidated by being in Rio, intimidated by fighting the greatest fighter of all time in Anderson Silva. Who knows? But,
and he, the build coming into this fight was that he wasn't just fighting for himself; he was fighting for his country, and he's still, best Japanese fighter in his weight class to come out of Japan. But he's, just I think the pressure of that fighting Anderson Silva, wanting to bring the title home to the broken down country of Japan.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. I don't know. Anderson Silva obviously is amazing. What he's done to these last, his whole career. You can't just say in the UFC. If you look at his fights outside the UFC with big wins, over like Lee Murray, this guy, Hall of Famer for sure right now.
Yeah.
Undefeated in the UFC. Records are going to be hard to be broken by this.
There's only one person that's close right now, and it's GSP. And
not every. I mean, there's really not very many people that seem to get. They get to that 8 or 9 mark and the win straight and then lose one.
Mm-hmm.
Silva's something special.
Especially,
maybe we only got a couple fights left out of him, so let's just hope the UFC starts doing fights, maybe some super fights for him.
The fights that all the fans want to see.
The only thing that's got left is Chael Sonnen, and we all know he used steroids.
Yeah.
In that fight, so it'll probably happen. I don't know. We'll see.
You never know.
Brian Stann can win that fight. We could have Brian Stann versus Anderson Silva.
Which would be a fresh new fight.
Yes, that'd be great. I'd enjoy it very much. So I'd enjoy it.
We're going to go ahead and introduce a brand new segment we're adding to SlaMMA this week called the WTF Moment of the Week. Now, in the world of MMA, there's always little things that come up that just make
There's always news.
Always news. And oftentimes news or somebody says something, most often Chael Sonnen, that makes you just go, what the? So this week, we have the first ever induction into the WTF Moment of the Week, and it's Nick Diaz.
Yeah. I'm sorry for laughing there.
That's really all we need to say is Nick Diaz, because he's a joke himself.
Nick Diaz and what he did. You don't show up for one press conference, and you don't show up for 2 press conferences, and then you get replaced completely at the second press conference by Carlos Condit.
Yeah.
And then to top it all off, I don't know what that.
Exactly.
We're on YouTube here. We're having a discussion. But I like that YouTube video he said. And I thought that was a pretty good one myself.
Yeah. Well,
funny.
And for those that don't know what happened, he was scheduled to fight GSP for the title, and he didn't make it to the press conference in Toronto, and made some comment about how, he's never missed a fight, but he didn't feel the need, I guess, to show up for the beauty pageant, which is his reference for the press conference. But every fighter knows the formalities, especially if you're in the main event. You're going to be at the press conference. You got to promote the event. You've got to be there to answer the questions for the media, much like we had answered for us when we went to the UFC 135 press conference. So
Wait. We just had breaking news coming.
Breaking news?
That turns out Nick Diaz is still going to fight on 137, but now since
What?
BJ Penn doesn't have a partner,
Huh?
it's going to be BJ Penn versus Nick Diaz.
They just did the
at
little
UFC 137.
wife swap kind of thing there. The switcheroonie, if you will.
This is UFC 137 flipperoo. Is his name out there?
The slipper slapper.
Flip flop. I don't know.
Flippity floopity.
I'm a BJ Penn fan, and I think BJ Penn is going to outbox Nick Diaz. All right, so let's get back
our guys
to
just traded opponents. Yeah.
Interesting.